Nobody knew who owned the new factory that had just opened in Ouagadougou. It was the biggest and most beautiful company around. The buildings were tall, the glass walls shined in the sun, expensive machines and workers filled the factory. But nobody knew the man behind it all. That man was President Ibrahim Traoré, yes, the same president who was fighting for his country's future. He had built the factory in silence and trusted only one person with the truth, his assistant, Emmanuel. No ministers, no family, nobody else knew. Why? Because the president didn't just want to provide jobs, he wanted to see for himself how the workers behaved, how they were treated, and if the people running the factory were honest or corrupt. To do that, he needed to hide his identity. So, he came up with a plan. He disguised himself completely. He changed his hair to white, painted his face to look older and darker, wore big sunglasses to cover his eyes. He even changed his voice to sound deep and rough. He dressed in old trousers, a dirty shirt, and sandals. He called himself Uncle Isa, a poor man looking for cleaner work. On his first day, he entered through the back gate. The security man looked at him with disgust. "Who are you?" "I'm the new cleaner," he said in his deep disguised voice. The guard looked him up and down. "You smell like trouble. Go inside and report to the cleaner's supervisor." "I don't want problems." He went in quietly and met the supervisor in charge of cleaning. The woman barely looked at him. "Take these," she said, handing him an old mop, broom, gloves, and a bucket. "You'll be mopping the back halls, toilets, and warehouse. Don't disturb anybody." He nodded and started working. The floors were dirty, the tools were old, but he didn't complain. He bent down and worked hard. His back ached, his knees hurt. Still, he cleaned like a real cleaner. But from that first day, he was treated like dirt. Workers stepped on water he had just mopped, some shouted at him, others laughed behind his back. "Look at this one, old and poor, yet still working," one shouted. "Useless man. What is he even doing here?" said another. Nobody greeted him, nobody helped him, nobody cared except one person. Her name was Miriam, a single mother of 4 daughters. She worked quietly in the packaging section. Unlike the others, she always greeted the cleaner with respect. "Good morning, uncle," she would say kindly. "I hope you slept well." She once brought him a small piece of bread and a sachet of water. "You work harder than all of us. Please take this." The president smiled. "Thank you, my daughter. May God bless you." One afternoon during break, she saw him sitting alone and joined him near the back wall of the factory. Her eyes looked tired, her hands rough from hard work. "Uncle," she said, "can I tell you something?" "Yes, my child." She looked around to be sure no one was watching. "My husband left me," she began. "He said I'm too poor. He said he couldn't keep living with a woman who gave him no male child. I have 4 daughters, but he said girls are useless." The president frowned under his glasses. His heart felt heavy. "He left me for my best friend," Miriam said, tears in her eyes. "Now I struggle alone. I work, I suffer, I cry. Sometimes we sleep without food. But I'll never give my body to any man just to survive." "Never," he placed his hand gently over hers. "You're strong, my daughter," he said quietly. Very strong. That same week, he saw something even worse. The factory manager, Mr. Pascal, was a proud and wicked man. He shouted at workers for fun, insulted women, but worst of all, he asked young ladies to sleep with him before giving them jobs. One day, Miriam came out of his office in tears. He told me to do something shameful if I want to keep my job, she told the president in a whisper. What did you say? The president asked. I told him never. I would rather go hungry with my daughters than do that. That night, President Traoré could barely sleep. The next morning, Mr. Pascal saw Miriam talking with Uncle Isa. He grew suspicious. He stormed out of his office and shouted in front of everyone. You this old fool? Are you sleeping with that woman? No, sir, the president replied quietly. You think I'm stupid? You think you can play smart here? If I catch you touching her, you'll disappear. I'll send you to a prison where even your ghost won't be found. Useless old man. The president's face didn't change. He stood straight, looked at Pascal, and said slowly, One day I will not forget this moment. You will cry and beg for mercy, but you will get none. Instead, you will go to prison, you fool. Pascal laughed loudly. You can't even clean properly. What can a poor cleaner like you do? President Traoré said nothing more. But deep inside, he knew the day of truth was coming, and when it came, everything would change. Uncle Isa continued cleaning the factory like a normal worker. Every day he discovered something shocking. He saw laziness, cheating, and corruption. Some workers only showed up twice a week, yet they still received full salaries. Nobody questioned them because the manager and some supervisors were also doing the same thing. Even worse, some workers clocked in, went outside the gate, and sat at shops all day drinking. In the evening, they returned to clock out and collect their pay at the end of the month. President Traoré, still in disguise, noted everything silently. The factory that was meant to help his people was now full of greed and wickedness. One day, he entered a storage room and saw two staff kissing and laughing. They didn't even stop when he walked in. Get out, old man, one of them said rudely. Go clean toilets. This room is not for your type. He walked away without saying a word. That same week, a young woman named Teresa came for a job interview. She was qualified, smart, and well-spoken. But the moment Mr. Pascal saw her, he changed his face. You want this job? Pascal asked with a smile. Yes, sir, she replied. Then you know what to do. You must come and visit me tonight, he whispered. Teresa's face changed. Sir, I came here to work, not to offer myself. Pascal stood up angrily. Then get out. There are many girls who will do anything for this job. She walked out with tears in her eyes. The president heard everything from behind the cleaning cupboard. He clenched his fists and whispered, This man will regret this. Meanwhile, Miriam continued being kind to him. One afternoon, she brought a small bag of cooked rice wrapped in nylon. I know it's not much, uncle, but I couldn't eat without sharing, she said. He smiled. Thank you. You are a rare person in this place. She laughed softly. Sometimes I wonder if this factory has an owner. Whoever built this place must be rich. But where is he? Why is he hiding? The president chuckled. Maybe he wants to know who is really loyal. She said. I just pray someone changes this place. Things are too bad. That evening, Mr. Pascal called a meeting. He stood on a small stage and shouted like a king. This company belongs to me now, he said boldly. I do what I like. Anyone who disrespects me will be fired. You hear me? Workers clapped. Some were scared, others were angry but kept quiet. The president stood at the back with his mop and gloves, watching him closely. He noticed one of the supervisors, a man named Jerry, collecting money secretly from new workers. He would tell them, if you want this job, pay 10,000 francs. If not, forget it. Jerry had no shame. He even joked about it with others. Nobody reported him because everyone was afraid. That night, the president returned to a small one-room house nearby where he stayed during his disguise. Only his assistant, Emmanuel, knew where he was. As he entered, Emmanuel stood up. Sir, are you okay? President Traoré removed his sunglasses and white wig. Emmanuel, he said, this company is full of darkness. Do we shut it down? Emmanuel asked. No, the president replied. We fix it. But first, we let the wicked dig their own grave. He wrote down every name, every lie, every corrupt action in his notebook. The next day, the workers gathered outside. Everyone was angry. Their salary was delayed by 1 month, and people started shouting, "Where is the owner? We want to talk to the boss." Mr. Pascal came out laughing. You're shouting at me. I am the boss here. The owner is not your business. If you don't like it, go home. He pointed at Uncle Isa. And you stop talking to that woman. If I see you near Miriam again, you'll enter prison. You think you're smart? You're a stupid old fool. Nobody will save you when I deal with you. The crowd laughed. The president walked away quietly, but he turned back and said in a calm voice, Pascal, I hope you enjoy your power because your days are numbered. Pascal laughed. Old man, you better start looking for another job. Meanwhile, Miriam was in the bathroom crying. She had just been told her salary would be cut because she refused to visit Pascal at night. When Uncle Isa saw her, he asked gently, Why are you crying? She wiped her tears. They said I'm too proud. They said I'll suffer in this life because I don't give men what they want. You are not too proud, he said. You are too pure for a dirty world. Thank you, Uncle. Sometimes I wonder if my daughters will ever have a better life. He smiled warmly. They will go far, Miriam. I promise you, their future will be bright. She looked up at him. Uncle, who are you really? He laughed. Just a cleaner, my daughter, for now. A new week began at the factory, but for Miriam, it started with pain. She had not paid her house rent for 2 months. Her landlord had knocked on her door the night before, shouting and threatening her in front of her 4 daughters. If you don't pay in 2 weeks, pack your load and leave my house, he warned. Miriam had begged. Please, just give me more time. I work every day. My children are still small. I don't care, the landlord shouted. This is not a charity home. If I don't see the money in 2 weeks, you and those girls will sleep on the street. Miriam cried all night. Her daughters tried to comfort her, but they were too young to understand. Her youngest daughter, barely 3, said, "Mommy, don't cry. Maybe someone will help us." The next morning, with a heavy heart, Miriam went to the factory. She wore the same brown gown she had washed 3 times already. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She didn't even eat before leaving home. When she got to work, she went straight to Mr. Pascal's office, holding a small paper. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. Pascal raised his head slowly, smirking. "What do you want again?" "Please, sir," she said. "I know salary is not due yet, but I need help. My landlord wants to chase me out. I just need part of my salary or anything you can help me with." Pascal stood up and walked close to her, his eyes full of wickedness. "You need money?" he asked. "Yes, sir, please." He laughed and pointed his finger at her. "You don't want to give me what I want, but you want me to help you? You will suffer in this life, you dirty, ugly woman. I'm just trying to manage you, and even at that, you say no. Get out of my office." Tears dropped from Miriam's eyes. She turned and walked away quietly. She went behind the factory and sat on the cold floor, covering her face and crying like a child. Nobody noticed her, nobody cared except one person. President Ibrahim Traoré, still dressed as Uncle Isa, saw her. He dropped his mop and walked gently toward her. "My daughter," he said in his deep voice, "why are you crying again?" She looked up and wiped her face quickly. "It's nothing, Uncle Isa." "Tell me," she sighed. "It's my landlord. He wants to send me and my daughters out. I begged Pascal for a part of my salary, but he insulted me again." "What did he say?" the president asked, his face calm but burning inside. "He called me dirty, ugly, and said I will suffer because I refuse to sleep with him. He said I'm not even worth it, but he was trying to manage me." The president closed his eyes slowly. He felt his heart break for her. He took a deep breath and said, "Don't worry. Allah will provide. He is not blind. And as for Pascal, Allah will deal with him. Just watch and see." She nodded slowly. "Amen." That night, President Traoré returned to his small hideout and called his assistant, Emmanuel. "I want you to find Miriam's landlord," he said. "Pay everything she owes. Rent for 6 months, but do it anonymously. I don't want her to know it's from me." "Yes, sir," Emmanuel replied. "I'll take care of it immediately." By morning, the rent was paid. That same day, while Miriam was dressing her daughter's hair before leaving for work, her landlord called her phone. "Hello, Madam Miriam," the landlord said. "Yes, sir," she replied, heart racing. "Someone paid your rent this morning." She froze. "What? Who?" "I don't know. It came from a young man. He didn't give his name. He said it was from an anonymous person." Miriam gasped. "Are you sure?" "Yes. 6 months in full. You should be thanking your God, you debtor." she dropped the phone and burst into tears. Her children rushed to her. "Mommy, what happened?" She smiled through her tears. "Somebody has paid our rent. We're not going to be sent away anymore." She carried her youngest child and danced in the tiny room. "Thank you, Allah," she whispered. "Thank you." Later that morning at work, she ran to the back of the factory and found Uncle Isa sweeping quietly. "Uncle, Uncle," she said with excitement. He turned and smiled. "You look happy today." "Something happened. My rent has been paid." "Really?" he said, pretending to be surprised. "Yes, the landlord called me this morning. He said someone paid for 6 months, but the person didn't say their name. He just said it was anonymous." President Traoré smiled. "That's a miracle." "Yes," she said, eyes filled with joy. "I told my children Allah has answered our prayers." He nodded slowly. "Allah will bless the giver." "Amen," she replied. "Uncle, I don't know who did it, but how I wish I could hug the person right now." The president laughed gently. "Maybe one day you will." She giggled. "If I ever meet him, I will thank him until he begs me to stop." He smiled again. "Just keep being the good woman you are. God sees everything." Miriam held his hand softly. "Uncle, you're the only person who treats me like a human being in this place." "And you're the only one here who has a heart," he replied. The factory continued running, but inside its walls, the rot was growing deeper. Every day, President Ibrahim Traoré, still disguised as Uncle Isa, discovered more wickedness. He watched how Mr. Pascal and his group of corrupt supervisors ruled the place like a jungle. They shouted at workers, collected bribes, and punished anyone who refused to bow to them. Pascal now hated Miriam more than ever. He didn't like that she ignored his wicked advances. He didn't like that she talked to Uncle Isa so often. "She thinks she's special," he told one of his boys. "That useless cleaner is putting ideas in her head. I'll soon deal with both of them." Meanwhile, Emmanuel, the president's assistant, continued sending him secret updates. "Sir," he said one evening on the phone, "Pascal has been collecting money from the company's account." He told the accountant to hide it as building repairs, but the money never went there. "How much?" President Traoré asked. "Over 20 million CFA in the last 3 months. "Good," the president replied. "Keep the records. Their judgment is close." Back at the factory, Uncle Isa continued sweeping, mopping, and observing. One day, he caught 2 workers in a storeroom fighting. "What is happening here?" he asked. One of them, a young man named Claude, shouted, "He's sleeping with my girlfriend." The other one, Henry, laughed, "Why do you care? She's been with me for weeks. All of you are useless." They almost threw punches until security came to separate them, but no action was taken. Everyone acted like it was normal. In another department, 3 workers didn't show up for 5 straight days. Yet, their names were marked present on the attendance list. Pascal's personal assistant was helping them cheat the system for money. Still, nobody said anything. That evening, while sweeping near the manager's office, the president overheard Pascal on a phone call. "Bro, this company is a gold mine," Pascal said. I'm even planning to make my cousin head of security next week. We'll control everything." There was silence. "The owner?" Pascal laughed. "Nobody knows him. Maybe he's a ghost. The way things are, this place is mine now." President Traoré closed his eyes and whispered, "Your time is coming, Pascal." The next day, Pascal called Miriam to his office again. She stood at the door nervous. "Yes, sir," she asked. "Come in," he said, closing the door. She stepped in slowly. "I see you've been smiling lately," he said, looking at her closely. "I know it's that old fool you sit with every day. You think he can help you?" "He's just a cleaner." Miriam replied, "He's kind." Pascal leaned closer. "You know what I think? I think you're sleeping with him. And if I catch both of you, especially him, I'll send him to prison. He will disappear, and nobody will find him." Miriam's eyes widened. "Why are you doing this to me?" Pascal pointed a finger at her. "Because you refuse to do what others do. I gave you a chance. You said no. Now you'll suffer." She ran out in tears and went to the back of the building. As usual, she found Uncle Isa there sweeping. She ran into his arms crying. "Uncle, he said he will send you to prison. He thinks we're doing something." The president placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Don't cry, my daughter. His threats mean nothing. His power is small compared to the one above." "But I'm tired," she sobbed. "I just want peace. I just want to work and take care of my girls." "And you will," he replied. "I promise you, very soon." Then he looked straight into her eyes and said, "Miriam, do you trust me?" "Yes, Uncle, with all my heart." "Then no matter what happens in the coming days, just stay calm. Something big is coming." She nodded slowly, though she didn't understand. That weekend, President Traoré went to his real office, dressed in his fine clothes, sitting as the president of the country once more. He called a meeting. Emmanuel walked in with documents. "All evidence is ready, sir. Bank fraud, corruption, abuse of workers, sexual harassment, ghost workers, bribery." The president nodded. "Good. Prepare the press, prepare security, and prepare my real entrance." He paused and said firmly, "Monday morning, we shut the circus down." Monday morning came. The factory buzzed like every other day. Workers moved around pretending to be busy. Some who hadn't shown up in weeks quietly walked in. The ones who came daily grumbled as usual. Mr. Pascal, as always, walked around with pride, shouting and boasting like a king. Then something strange happened. Luxury black cars began arriving one by one outside the factory gate. Heavily armed security men stepped out. A big white bus marked "Government Press" parked nearby. Cameramen jumped out with tripods. Confused workers began to gather near the windows and gates. "What's happening?" someone asked. "Is the president coming?" another whispered. Pascal laughed. "President, please. This place is not that important." Suddenly, the factory doors opened wide. A tall, powerful man stepped out. His voice was no longer rough. His face was fresh. His walk was full of confidence. It was President Ibrahim Traoré. Everyone froze, mouths opened, eyes widened. Even the security guards stood at attention. Pascal stepped back slowly, his heart pounding. That's not possible," he whispered. "That looks like, no, it can't be." Then the president turned around, faced everyone, and smiled. "I am not Uncle Isa," he said. "I am President Ibrahim Traoré, and I am the true owner of this company." Gasps filled the air. Miriam stood behind the crowd, her mouth open in shock. Pascal dropped his phone. His knees became weak. Sweat poured down his face like rain. "I came here as a cleaner," the president continued, "to see with my own eyes how this company was being managed. What I saw broke my heart. Laziness, corruption, injustice, abuse, wickedness." He paused. "Some of you treated me like trash. You laughed at me, insulted me, even threatened to send me to jail." He turned to look directly at Pascal. "You, Mr. Pascal, stole millions from this company. You harassed innocent women. You threatened loyal staff. You turned this place into a prison." Pascal fell to his knees. "Sir, please. I didn't know. I was just trying to," the president said. "Everything you said and did was recorded. Your calls, your threats, your lies. You are going to prison today." He waved his hand. Two officers stepped forward and grabbed Pascal by both arms. He cried and begged, "Sir, please. I have a family. Please forgive me. You should have thought about that before insulting a poor woman and mocking a cleaner," the president said firmly. As Pascal was dragged out, the workers clapped, not because they hated him, but because justice had finally come. Then the president turned and smiled. "But not everyone here was wicked." He looked at Miriam. One woman showed kindness to a man she thought was just a poor cleaner. "She gave me food. She gave me water. She gave me respect. Even when she was suffering, she still helped someone she thought had nothing." Miriam's eyes filled with tears. She covered her mouth in shock. "Please come forward, Miriam," he said. She walked slowly, shaking with surprise. When she stood before him, the president smiled. "You're the kind of citizen we need in this country." He turned to the press. "This is Miriam, a single mother of 4 daughters, abandoned by her husband, mocked by her landlord, bullied at work, but still honest, still humble, still good." The crowd clapped. He continued, "Today, I am giving you a brand new 3-bedroom house in the city, fully paid for. No rent ever again." Cheers erupted. "Also, you will receive a brand new car, yours alone." More cheers. "And your 4 daughters will be given full scholarships all the way to university, any school of their choice anywhere in the world." Tears rolled down Miriam's face. She fell to her knees. "Sir, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you, sir. May Allah bless you. May He keep you strong." The president helped her up and hugged her. "You already said it all when you shared your bread with a stranger." She looked up. "It was you who paid my rent, right?" He smiled. "Yes, and I'd do it again." She laughed through her tears. "I said I wanted to hug the person who helped me. Now I've hugged the president." The crowd laughed warmly. The president then turned to the workers. "This factory will continue, but from today things will change. No more corruption, no more bullying. Anyone caught cheating, stealing, or abusing others will be removed. Only honest workers will remain." The workers clapped in joy. He looked around the crowd one last time and said, "The true strength of a country is not just in money or power, but in how we treat each other." Then he walked out, holding Miriam's hand, followed by cheers, tears, and the sound of justice restored. Dear viewers, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, share with your friends, and turn on the post notification bell so you'll be the first to know whenever we upload a new video on Black struggles. Thank you for watching. Voiceover ends with a reflective tone.